Welcome back to another video. Today we are making this exfoliating pumpkin face mask in the spirit of fall, which is right around the corner. This mask is formulated with oily acne-prone skin in mind. It has both glycolic and lactic acid, which can help exfoliate the skin, help with hyperpigmentation, brighten the skin, unclog pores, and help with signs of aging. So I really do think that this mask can be used for all skin types, but you may want to be careful if you have sensitive skin, as lactic acid and glycolic acid can cause irritation for some. So if you're new to formulating, you may not know that formulations for skincare products are actually written in percents, and then you transfer the formulation from percents into a recipe in grams. And I'll link down below to my Formulating for Beginners series so you guys can learn a lot more about this. And I'll also link to a video down below that explains to you how to transfer a formulation from percents into a recipe weighed in grams. So let's get into the recipe so you can learn how to make it. I'll be making a 50-gram batch in this video today, and I'm starting with phase A. You will need xanthan gum soft, which is the gelling agent and thickener, and glycerin, which will help hydrate the skin. I'm going to start by creating a slurry by taking 2 grams of glycerin and adding in 1 gram of xanthan gum soft. You will have much better results hydrating the xanthan gum in the glycerin first. If not, the glycerin is likely to clump up and create what is known as fish eyes. So I highly recommend doing this as your first step in the recipe. Now set that to the side and we can start working on phase B, which includes distilled water, liquid dermal plus, henna extract, pumpkin powder from Formulator Sample Shop, and colloidal oatmeal. I have 30.87 grams of distilled water in this beaker, along with 0.25 grams of liquid dermal plus, which is the preservative. I'm adding in 1 gram of henna extract, which has cooling and soothing properties. It also provides antimicrobial and oil absorbing properties, which makes it perfect for oily acne-prone skin. Next, I added in 0.5 grams of the pumpkin powder, which has a very faint scent of pumpkin to it. It is a rich source of gently exfoliating enzymes, antioxidants, beta-carotene, and many other vitamins and minerals. This powder is supposedly oil and water soluble, but it didn't dissolve completely in the water, which isn't a big deal as the xanthan gum will help suspend the powder evenly throughout the product. So if there are little specks left of the pumpkin powder that doesn't dissolve, it's okay. Then I added in 2.5 grams of the colloidal oatmeal. This stuff will help soothe stressed, blemished, and irritated skin, and can even help relieve dry and itchy skin. So this is perfect for those experiencing irritation from their acne. I added just a little bit at a time and mix it in until it dissolved before adding more each time. Now moving on to phase C, which includes lactic acid, glycolic acid, and my pH buffer solution. My pH buffer solution is a 10% dilution of sodium hydroxide. I create this by first adding 180 grams of distilled water into a mason jar. Then in a separate container, I weigh out 20 grams of sodium hydroxide. I then pour the sodium hydroxide into the water and mix. You will notice it'll start to heat up and the solution will become a very opaque color. It'll be like a really cloudy white. Just mix the solution until the sodium hydroxide has completely dissolved, and then you just want to let it sit until it cools and completely runs clear. This may take about 10 minutes or so. The solution is good to keep up to about 1 month, and you don't need to add a preservative to it because it is self-preserving due to the really high pH it has. You just want to create a new solution about every month if you don't use it up within a month. So let me know if you would like to see a whole video dedicated on how to make this solution, since I know it can be kind of confusing. So I have a total of 8 grams of the pH buffer in this container here. And in this container, I have 2.23 grams of glycolic acid and 1.6 grams of lactic acid. So something I want to point out is when you purchase lactic acid or glycolic acid, they are typically always dilutions. The lactic acid I have is a 90% dilution. So if you want to make a face mask that has 3% lactic acid in it, you can't just add 3% of the lactic acid since it's a 90% dilution. you need to do about 3.3% of the lactic acid in order to get a 3% concentration of lactic acid in your face mask. The same goes for glycolic acid. This is a 70% dilution, so in order to get a face mask with 3% glycolic acid, you need to use it at about 4.45%. So I'm sorry if that's really confusing, but working with alpha hydroxy acids really is a confusing thing, and it takes a little bit to get a hang of it, but once you do, it'll make a lot more sense. So I pour the lactic acid and glycolic acid into the buffer solution to raise the pH. Lactic acid and glycolic acid both have extremely low pH levels of about 1 to 2, so you need to raise the pH of them in order to safely use them on the skin, or else it will really burn your skin. I like to shoot for a pH around 4 to 4.5. Now that we have all the phases complete, we can start to combine them together. But first, I want to add some coloring to this face mask. I'm going to be using this orange mica powder, and I'm adding it into the xanthan gum and glycerin slurry, so I'm adding it into phase A. I recommend doing it this way, as mica powder isn't actually water soluble, so in order to get it to suspend evenly throughout the solution, you need a suspending agent like xanthan gum. Because this is an aqueous formulation, it only consists of water ingredients, so you need a suspending agent. Now I'm going to slowly pour a little bit of phase B into phase A at a time and mix in between. I find best results doing it this way to keep the xanthan gum from clumping together. By the way, I only recommend using xanthan gum soft in the face mask. Xanthan gum clear works as well, but nowhere near as well as xanthan gum soft. If you want to use any other kind of xanthan gum, the face mask will not turn out as nice. The texture will probably be more clumpy and gummy, as opposed to a smooth jelly consistency that xanthan gum soft gives. Once phase B is completely incorporated into phase A, you can add phase C into phase A and B and mix everything together until it is well combined. If you have any issues with the solution clumping, you can use an immersion blender to smooth everything out, which you'll probably need an immersion blender if you're making a really large batch. Now it's time to check the pH. I made a dilution of my face mask by dissolving 2 grams of the face mask in 10 grams of distilled water. You want to make sure you have at least a 10% dilution. Mix in the face mask until it has completely dissolved in the water, then you can dip your pH meter in. Now if you follow this exact recipe, your pH should come out to be fine. But if you alter anything in this recipe, or use a higher percentage of glycolic acid or lactic acid, you may need to use more of the pH buffer. I used 16% of the pH buffer in this formulation, so if you decide to alter the formulation, definitely do a trial batch so you know how much of the buffer solution you need before making a large batch. The pH of this batch specifically came out to be 4.37. You want a pH higher than 3.5, but I personally like to shoot between 4 to 4.5. So this pH is perfect. So I use this 1 ounce jar to store my face mask in. And in order to use this mask, you just need to apply a generous coat all over the face, either using your fingers or a brush, which is the method that I prefer. And I recommend leaving the mask on for about 20 minutes and then rinsing it off. You can also apply a thin layer on your face and sleep in the mask if you want, whichever you prefer. I recommend using this mask 1 to 2 times a week, depending on your skin type and your skin needs. If you have more sensitive skin, I recommend only using it once a week, but if you're battling with acne and oily skin, you can use it 2 times a week. So here's the label I made for this mask. I will link down below to my video on how I make my labels and how I waterproof them. So that is it for today's recipe. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely let me know if you're going to try this out and what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Also, let me know if you have any requests for any fall-themed recipes you would like to see. And that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time. Later. At Stardust Bath & Body, Nature's Farm Girl, Kennedy's Essentials, LettsBlend, Wallflower Wildflower, Heartfelt Beauty, KAJ Bath & Body, Blue Mint Soaps, Salt Air Label, Lenice Beauty, Shark City Naturals, Ohana Lay, Danny Botanicals, at Nino55, K & Cool, Hempy Girl, Brie Maquillage, Alchemy and Clay, Bible Belt Boutique, and London Latris. I also sell skincare products myself over on Etsy. My Etsy shop will be linked below, along with all my lovely patrons.
I'm stuck in the motions. I've been consumed by the wrath of time like I'm shattered in this life. It's still the path that I've chosen. Because I've had a myself with